What's going on, everybody? I hope everyone is having a fantastic night so far. We got some very special guests on tonight's show. We got Chavez Grant coming back on the scoop. Gotta love it, man. Miami Hurricane alumni, great player during his time here. We got Kev from Twitter. Gotta love his takes as well. And of course, my co-host all the way from Alaska, my main man Ross. So what's going on, gentlemen? Thank you again for your time tonight, and let's get to it, man. Let's talk some Canes football. So the Miami Hurricanes lose to UNC 45-42 on the road in Chapel Hill. I got to say, this team fought a lot more than I expected for a team that's going through this much adversity. They played all four quarters tough. I'll kick it to you first, Chavez. What were your initial thoughts overall about this game?
Man, North Fresh, he hit me after the game and he was like, man, a slow start. And that was the first thing I was thinking. I was thinking of the slow start because they did fight, man. They fought, and you can see that the talent is there. So it's not an issue with talent. It's really not. I think if looking at it from the outside in, of course, as we all are, I think it's partly as with anything, like it really comes down to like the coaching. So like as coaches, you got to know like what gets my guys going, what helps them to start fast, what gets them ready for the game, like what plays do I need to call, like these are the things you got to know about your team to get them going, because like we all saw, like if we play consistently at a high level, then that the game shouldn't have been what it was. I mean, but the slow start, we got behind really fast. I think of course, Tyler Van Dyke, we got a good little help there. You can't throw, some of the interceptions he threw, but I mean, we were in the game, so the talent is there. I just think, we just got to try to put it together, man. Coaches got to get it right, get these boys started fast, and I think we'll be all right.
Absolutely. I think there was a stat breaking down the first half and the second half, and Miami completely dominated the second half and outscored UNC by a lot more than the first half. Kev, what were your thoughts about the game?
Yeah, man. One thing you can say about Manny, you can talk about his coaching, you can talk about everything else. One thing you can say is these kids haven't quit on him. You've seen it with Golden. You've seen it with other coaches in the past where kids have just quit on them. And that's something that, we saw come to fruition last two games against Virginia and against North Carolina. The kids didn't quit. You can say what you want about his coaching, but obviously those kids want to play for him. So, I mean, that's something that we can kind of at least say as a positive. I told you last week I really thought this game was going to be closer than a lot of people were thinking it was going to be. You had chances to win, so many chances to win the game. Like I said, I think there's something you could talk about. Yeah, you shouldn't be in these situations because you have more talent, but something is not right with the gods of football world this year for us because you just have so many bad breaks, man. So many bad breaks. You have the roughing the kicker penalty that was not roughing the kicker. It was running into the kicker, if anything, which that leads to a touchdown instead of a field goal. That's the difference in the game right there. Just there. Like, you have a bunch of roughing the passer penalties that just were so weak and soft. And obviously you just have – it's just bad luck, man. Even that last pass, it couldn't have just been batted down to the ground. It hits a guy's helmet, hits another dude's helmet into another guy's hands. Like, it's just like – it just seems like the gods are in our favor this year. But the kids fought again. I think every game I think is going to be a dogfight. I really do. The only game I can see being like possibly a debacle is the Pitt game. But I think this game this weekend is going to be just as much of a dogfight as North Carolina and as Virginia. But it's just another heartbreaker, man. Not much else you can say.
Yeah. I mean, me and Ross, after the game, we went pretty in depth. We really focused on a lot of poor tackling, I would say, within our defense.
So bad, man.
Ross, anything you wanted to touch up on from the remarks after the game from our guests?
I think these guys hit it pretty good, man. Just putting a young quarterback in a position like that on the road versus a team that's played us tough, it's not a recipe for success. Props to Tyler Van Dyke for keeping his moxie, for keeping himself involved in the game, for keeping his attitude moving forward, not regressing or not moving backwards within the game, truly trying to make something out of nothing for a while. And he did. So Nothing but props to him. I believe that he is a quality quarterback. I just believe that he needs a better team put around him before you'll really see exactly who he is.
Yeah, I agree as well. Chavez, I want to pick your brain because there were some passes made by Van Dyke that didn't really make sense. There was one in particular. I mean, literally, it looked like a 3 yard down and in. I think it was to Rambo, and they picked it off and took it back. Were some of those passes his first reads, or was that maybe his first read wasn't open, so he had to go to the second option? What was going on behind this? Did you pick up on any of that? Maybe it was the play call on Lashley.
Yeah, I was actually telling my wife when I was watching, I was like, man, some of these, like, I can predict some of these play calls, like when they line up. I'm like it's so basic. So I don't know if it's maybe because he's a young quarterback, maybe he can't progress through his reads, maybe he's afraid of the pressure. He made some bad decisions, but he also made some good throws. I think he's young. I think you got to protect him more. I think you have to. I think maybe you have to dumb the game down for him until he fully understands the speed and he can go through his reads. So I think it's a plethora of things. I like you said, I think he's a quality quarterback. I think he can get it done. We should have won that game. Even with the two interceptions he threw, we should have won that game. So I think if I had to pick out one thing, he's young. He's young, and when people are flying this way and flying that way, and bodies are coming at you, it's a lot to process. So I just think he needs some time.
Yeah, absolutely. Second year of college football, I believe, and this was his first career road start. Kev, what do you think about Tyler Van Dyke, man? Is he the future quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes football program? I know you like him a lot.
I like him. I think he has a lot of really good tools. And one thing you'll see too is you saw his running ability on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
He kept drives alive with his feet. There was that 4th and 11, and he literally dove and got the first down. Like, that was very impressive to me. He did it multiple times on that 97-yard drive, which also is one of the most impressive drives I've seen from a Miami quarterback in a decent amount of time. With the game on the line, goes 97 yards for a touchdown to give us a chance at the end. His inaccuracies worry me a little bit. He kind of reminds me of, and don't go crazy because I know the comparison is just out of this world, doesn't make sense, but Josh Allen a little bit, where the big criticism of Josh Allen in college was the guy had an arm like a cannon, but his inaccuracies were something that he struggled with. And I can see that with Tyler Van Dyke a little bit. His arm is NFL caliber arm. He has the strength to make all the throws. But at the beginning of the game, you had guys wide open, especially in that first quarter, that he was, bouncing the ball. He was 5 yards behind him. But I think with time that'll come. The speed of the game will slow down. And I think that'll come. Do I think he's like the savior of the program? I don't know yet. Everyone wants Jake Garcia. I'm not going to anoint Jake Garcia the guy because I've yet to see him take a real snap. But I do think Tyler Van Dyke has all the characteristics to be a very good college quarterback. But I think what Ross says is true, most importantly, an offensive line. I think, you got to remember you're playing a freshman quarterback on the road with probably a very subpar offensive line. That probably doesn't make him feel any comfortable in the pocket. And he's already got nerves. He's already nervous. And he knows once he snaps that ball, there's a good chance a couple guys are going to be right in his face within a couple seconds. So, that doesn't help at the end of the day, too. But I definitely think Tyler Van Dyke could be a very good quarterback for the Miami Hurricanes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think you give Tyler Van Dyke a good offensive line. He has a strong arm. You put the right personnel around him. You develop him correctly. I think he has a very high ceiling. He has all the tools you want. He's a lot more mobile than I thought. We didn't bring this up.
Yeah.
He took off a couple times for some key first down conversions.
Big first downs.
Yeah, he's not. I mean, look, he's not a Lamar Jackson, Michael Vick, but I'll take that. I'll take his mobile ability. He's not Brad Kaya, with his feet. Who, I mean, to a certain extent, he was a sitting duck in the pocket. That's just my.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Yeah.
Especially Chavez, because you played the game, you understand. Especially from a defensive standpoint. That last call drove me freaking nuts, man. You have 16 seconds on the clock. why are you doing an RPO at all when it's 3rd and 4 and you have no timeouts left? Because if you think about it, if he had that extra second and a half that he wasn't trying to fake the ball, we probably would have been able to get that slant off, and who knows what happened. Can Rambo break a tackle, get a touchdown? I can't fathom it. It's been in my head for the last 2 days. Like, can someone like tell me if that was just a bad call or what? I just don't understand it. What's the point of the RPO? You're not going to run it with no timeouts from the 16-yard line or wherever the hell we were.
You talking about what it got tipped the ball and got the interception?
Yeah. Why did we even RPO? Why did we even? There's no point.
So the big thing about the RPO is, of course, when they fake the handoff, it's to bring the linebackers up so you can throw the slant in behind it.
Of course.
But I agree. If you're a smart football player, you're like, all right, I'll give up the run and I'll sit back, for the slant.
Exactly.
So, I don't know, man. But again, like I said, when I see them line up, it's like I can see some plays. I'm like, oh, I know what this is going to be, and they run exactly what I think it is. So,
we didn't take a single shot to the end zone, like
right.
a single shot to the end zone.
That's what they should have been doing.
Yeah,
right.
It's just crazy to me. It's crazy, but
maybe they were just playing for the field goal. I don't know.
We know Manny likes to do that, so
that's the only thing I can think of. Because, like you say, you at where you're at on the field, you should take a few shots at the end zone, and then your fallback should be the field goal.
Yeah, there's no rushing threat with 16 seconds and no timeouts. The 16. It just doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't make sense.
Hey, Ross, I'll start off with you with this question. I was a little bit surprised Manny Diaz gets another week as the Miami Hurricanes football head coach. I understand people are saying Blake James isn't going to fire Manny Diaz, this and that. I think there's a standard set at Miami where 2-4 will get you canned because Al Gold and Randy Shannon never went 2-4 in their careers, to my understanding. So why do you think Manny Diaz is still lingering around the program as head coach? We all know he's going to get fired at some point. It's just when. So what's your perspective on this? Because recruiting's dead as well.
Outright, I think Blake James is a gutless coward. And I think that we got bought into this 5-year deal for a first-time head coach that basically screwed us so far. Financially, I don't know if Blake James is going to pull the big trigger. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he's going to ever do that. So we kind of have to just sit back and go, holy shit, is this okay at Miami? Is this acceptable at Miami? Because while he's still our head coach, that's what Blake James is saying. He's saying that this is okay. Until the move's made, man, Blake James seems to be just fine with mediocrity, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, does anyone think Blake James is going to be retained at all?
No.
So you think he's going to be let go as well, Kevin?
Very shortly, yes.
Really? Why? Was that the Gary Furman article? What's more of the explanation behind that?
I think it's just the writing's on the wall a little bit. You can kind of tell. Blake James has done absolutely zero public appearances other than that one little ACC network interview he did about a couple weeks ago.
He was in Maine, too.
He's barely tweeted. He's barely done anything. I think what's happening is he knows that his days are limited. So I think he's trying to find other outlets of where he's going to go from here. I think he knows that his time is very limited with Miami Hurricanes. And I think what happens is you got to realize that he is attached to Manny Diaz. And I think he knows that. When he hired Manny Diaz, he went behind everyone's back, all of the board of trustees, everyone, and hired Manny Diaz. He went to President Frank firsthand and said, I want to hire Manny Diaz. President Frank gave him the go-to. He did it. He didn't consult any of the board of trustees. He didn't really do any of that until after the fact. So he's attached to Manny Diaz. If Manny Diaz is a failure, Blake James is a failure. And I think Blake James got a chance to go before Manny Diaz does. And that's just me. I think it's it's a good chance that within the next month and a half, you're going to see Blake James get let go.
Interesting. That's very interesting. I think it's strange that, people have been very quiet. Blake James is in Maine during his interviews. He has literally denied every request from local media besides the ACC network to interview him. He's completely denied it as well. Something's up. There's something in the air. What do you think, Chavez? I mean, you played for Miami. Maybe someone's told you something. I'm just saying. Maybe. I mean, what are your thoughts about this?
I haven't heard anything. I haven't been that close to the program lately, but I think, I mean, it seems that it's not that important right now because, like the fans are saying, I think if it was important, I think you do something like what LSU did. You say,
Yep.
hey, look, this is going to be his last year moving forward. That way you can let recruits know this is not acceptable. We're making a change right now, and we're looking for a new coach. And but if you let this guy ride out the season, and you let Blake James ride out the season, again, like I mean, it looks like it's acceptable. It looks like like they're just like, all right, hey, look, it's just a bad year. We'll figure it out later. So I don't know. I think Blake James will stay. I think Manny will go, but I think Blake James will stay.
It's also possible that Blake James gets retained, but he's at a different level of football operations or where he's going to be kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, you got to realize Blake James has also been a really good fundraiser for the University of Miami. So what they could come to him and say is, "Hey, listen, we want to keep you,
Yeah.
but you're not going to be in control of football operations anymore."
Gotcha.
Because you got to realize there's so many college sports, and a lot of these ADs get canned because of football, because football is such a big
Right.
So why not just keep him on? He can do freaking volleyball and all these other whatever and fundraise, and you get someone else to come in and hire and do the whole football side of things.
Yeah.
That's very possible too.
I can see that.
Ross, if that were to happen, right? Someone's overseeing the football program. Blake James has stepped aside. He's not taking care of football operations. Who would you like to see take control of the football program, make the appropriate hires to get Miami back on track to at least winning the ACC?
I mean, to me, right out in the open, the obvious one for me is Alonzo Highsmith. I mean, that's the guy that seems to have what it would take and seems to have the drive and the passion of what it would take to get Miami back to a competitive level. He knows what good Miami football is supposed to look like. He knows what we're seeing right now is not good Miami football. He understands the importance of putting that fence around the area to retain your elite recruits. That's the guy, dude. I mean, simply put, that I think it would be an outright mistake if we didn't get him. But one thing I will say about Blake James that guys need to keep in mind is we're still in the green financially. Until Blake James starts losing money, that's when he's got a big problem as the AD, because that's really what it comes down to, is making sure he stays in the green and that we've got enough money to transfer out to our non-revenue sports.
That's why I think he'll stay. That's why I think he'll stay.
A good point.
Kev, you interviewed Alonzo Highsmith, correct?
Yeah, I was with the King Cast at the time, 2 years ago. Yeah.
How did that interview go? I mean, was that question brought up, Alonzo, do you want to come back and contribute?
It was after the terrible season, and there was all those rumblings going around, just like there is now, about should we let go Blake James? Does Zoe want to come back as football operations? So we wanted to get him on, and the guy wants the job. You can 100% tell it in his voice. You can tell when he talks about it very passionately. Interview was a very long time ago, so like the details, a lot of that I'd have to go back and listen. But you can tell even by listening to the OBB podcast. They had him on a couple weeks ago or a week ago, and the guy wants it. You could tell he's all around the program. He was at the game a week ago, just shaking hands, kissing babies, doing the whole thing, and you can tell the guy wants to be around the program. He has the experience. It's not even one of those things where you're just like, everyone's throwing around Gino Toretta's name, and I'm like,
no.
You can't just hire an ex-player. That's not the job.
Right.
But Zoe actually has a resume. Like, he can come in and he understands how to build a program or be around an organization or an administration at his time with the Browns and the Packers and all these different teams he's been with. there's been rumblings that he's ready. Like, it's just a matter of them to pick up the horn and call him and negotiate a deal. But I 99.9% sure that he is ready to be the head of football operations or AD or whatever you want to call it for Miami Hurricanes. And another guy that I would look into, if this actually is a route that ends up happening, is Chud at BC, Jasinski.
He's at Boston College. Wow.
Yeah, and he's in an admin role. So he's in that type of environment right now. So he's not really coaching, but he's a guy, too, that's got connections. He's got contacts. He's connected everywhere, NFL, college. So that's a guy that, people were, like, talking about him as a coach. I was like, no. But as an AD or someone head of football operations, like, that would be a home run hire. Both of those guys, either of them.
Now, my concern and my question to you guys is, because Javier just said it, and I was just thinking it. Javier says everyone keeps saying Miami doesn't have the money, but it's costing them a lot more hiring coaches with no experience rather than hiring the right guy. So my concern is, will Miami pay for the right guy?
Who wants to go first? Ross?
I mean, that's kind of the $1 million question that's been floating around, bro. It really is. I mean, how much do we expect our school that likes to cut corners on the football team and likes to nickel and dime? How much can we expect them to really just say, you know what, we're going to change all of our philosophies about this and we're going to go head in on this? While we know we have the money to do it, we absolutely do. It's about allocating those funds to the football team. And I'll tell you what, if they're smart, they'll see that if they allocate those funds and we start winning, that football team will make even more money. That will give them more money to play with. That's all they want. So why not invest in something that can make you money?
Right.
So, to answer your question, Chavez, does Miami want to spend the amount of money for the right guy? Is it LSU money, SEC money for the right guy that we saw Texas A&M just throw at Jimbo Fisher? I don't think we'll do that. Do I think it'll be the money where it's like, okay, an alumni like Mario Cristobal, he has $8 million buyout, let's say, and you got to reach him at $6 million a salary? I think they'll do that, but I don't think they'll pull an Ed Orgeron, for example, buy him out for $17 million just to fire him. I don't think we have that kind of money.
No.
We can also take the route of hiring a coach that just has a consistent, stable track record, like a Dave Doran at NC State, like a Coach I think his name's Clausen at Wake Forest, that's ranked 16th in the nation, like a Mark Stoops. I love Mel Tucker, what he's done at Michigan State. I think LSU will pay him a lot of money and bring him to LSU, but I don't think Miami will pay that much for Mel Tucker. And that's my guy. Mario Cristobal, Mel Tucker. That's my guy. I wanted him before when he went to Colorado, when he was at Georgia. I wanted him there. But I just think we'll do it for Mario, but I don't think we'll do it for a lot of coaches.
I think one thing you guys need to think about too, we have the money again, like you guys have all said. The medical program at University of Miami has brought in so much money, everything around that. They have the money. It's not an issue. I think one thing people need to realize now, I think the noise is so loud. It's never been this loud. You had ESPN ripping us a new one on national television on College Game Day. You got Colin McCarthy texting tweeting 17 times a day about is Manny fired every hour? Is Manny fired? Is Blake James gone? You got the former players are out in full force. They want things to change, and I think that's what's different this time around. Is we were all mad all the time. We always flew banners, but the national noise is as loud as it's ever been, and I think if they're going to do it one more time, I think this time they're going to try to get it right. I really believe that, because I think this is the end. This is the moment. This is the moment. You either get it right this time, or Miami Hurricanes will never be the Miami Hurricanes again.
Exactly.
And that's the problem. And I think they may finally starting to feel that urgency a little bit, because you got to think about it, and everyone likes to say it. We haven't won a national championship in 20 years. kids growing up now have no idea what the Miami Hurricanes were.
Yeah.
And it's sad to say the Miami Hurricanes they see is 59-0 out Golden against Clemson. That's what they see. And losing to Pitt and North Carolina and Virginia. And it pains me to see it as a 29-year-old. I grew up watching Chavez's teams in the early 2000s and 2003, 2004. Even those teams were enjoyable to watch. They weren't the 2001 team, but they were competent. And where we're at now is irrelevancy. So they have the money, and I think this time, if they were smart, they do everything they can to get it right this last time.
They have
and
to.
I think they will. They will.
They have to.
Chavez, who do you think is that right guy from Miami? If the budget's there, there's a money increase, we can pay that nice buyout that's used to block us in the past.
I think you named the two guys I like. I like Mario Cristobal. I love Mel Tucker. But just like Kane Kevin's been saying, man, at this point you got to get it right. And it's not even so much that we haven't won a national championship. We haven't even been in the picture. Not even a BCS bowl. Picture at all. The last time we were where they thought Miami was back was Mark Richt, where they had that one season. That was pretty good, but after that, it's just been downhill. So I think, of course, Mario Cristobal, Mel Tucker. I like Mark Stoops. Mark Stoops is doing a hell of a job at Kentucky. And my thing that I always tell people is, you can't tell me that, guys who go to Kentucky or, a few years back, the UCF team, you can't tell me guys who go to UCF and Kentucky are better than guys who go to Miami. You can't tell me that. Not on the talent level. That's just not. I'm not buying that. So I think it is a coaching thing, and just like he said, I think this time he used the perfect word. There's a sense of urgency. They have to get it right, because if you hire another coach and give him a 5-year deal, and you have to keep him on for at least 3 or 4 to try to get a little return on your investment, by that time it's too late. It's over with. So having to come back from that is going to be too hard. So I think you got to get the right guy. Just get us back in the picture. Keep us a top 15 team. Keep us in a conversation for the ACC championship. If you win the ACC championship, you're in the BCS bowl. Even if you lose the ACC championship, even if you're just in the game, you're in the conversation. You're a top 10 team. So we have to be there. And I think this time they have to get it right. You can't miss again. You can't miss.
Ross, anything you wanted to add, on getting the right guy? I know you're a big Bill O'Brien fan. Maybe you want to state your case for Bill O'Brien.
Man, that's the guy, in my opinion. The guy who's willing to yell at Tom Brady on the sidelines during a perfect season for throwing an interception. A guy who was in a position at Penn State, who had the darkest cloud hanging over a football program in a university that's possible, and yet he still made something positive out of it and actually aligned himself to get into the NFL. Well, he wasn't the greatest NFL GM and all that stuff. I get that, but these are two different worlds. What happens in the NFL and what happens in college, it's really hard to make comparisons on that. And that's why you see certain guys struggle in some of those and some guys thrive in some of those situations. It's NFL coaches are NFL coaches and college coaches are college coaches. That's kind of how I've always seen it. I think Bill O'Brien is a college coach, and I think that he would do a great, great thing for Miami and bring stability back to the program.
Yeah, I think we mentioned all great choices. Mario, Mark Stoops. I don't think Mel Tucker's an option, just being real. I think he's going to LSU or he's going to stay at Michigan State. Because, that's the thing, too, about this job. Mark Stoops, he's like, well, I got the ball rolling at Kentucky. They're probably going to pay me a nice amount of money. I'm going backwards at Miami, because you are. Right. Mel Tucker, you're going backwards at Miami. You're in the top 10. Mario, he may not even be interested. He's like, screw Blake James. Nike can pay me more money, But I think if you put the right person, maybe Alonzo Highsmith overseeing the football program, get some of his teammates on an airplane, convince him to come home, he'll do it. I really do. But I think 100%, guys, we're trying to get it right this time, like Kevin said, and public approval, the fan base, the alumni base.
Paul, real quick, do you think it's a step back? Because
Yeah.
my thing is, okay, I get it. I get where they're at right now, technically in the rankings, but we are beating teams, not beating teams. We are almost beating teams with complete inept coaching. So, like, what do you think? We have talent, and no one can tell me we don't. We
100%.
have talent. I see it, and someone wrote it in the comments, and I liked it, and I thought it made a good point. I see this being very similar to when Dan Mullen took over Florida and immediately turned them into a top not and into a 10-win team the next year, the year he took over. Because especially if you see it like how just as long as they can limit the amount of people that transfer, because that always happens when you have a new coach and Manny leaves, and if they can keep this young core, the 2021 and 2020 class, whoever comes in is going to be coming into a lot of talent. And that's the thing is like guys like Mark Stoops, like they know how to develop. Mel Tucker know how to develop. So like I get what you're saying where the team right now is better than us technically, but them coming here, the ceiling is a lot higher, in my opinion, with the talent they have.
There's talent, Kev. There is talent at a lot of positions. O-line is still a question mark. I don't know what the hell we have there. I don't even know what our second team is. There is talent though, but our linebacker personnel I don't like at all. The portal can assist you with that. The portal can assist you with your O-line. So they're going to have to utilize the transfer portal a lot because there are some there is some gaps in talent which can really hurt us down the road. We're fine at running back. Wide receivers a little bit interesting because Rambo's gone, Harley's going to leave. Then you just have Restrepo. Really, I haven't really seen much about Brinson besides a one-handed catch. Let's be real. I mean, he dropped a wide open. I mean,
you like
he doesn't get a lot of playing time either. Keyshawn Smith is a good player.
Yeah.
So yeah, Restrepo, Smith, and then Romello Brinson, young player too. So there is talent there, but you gotta at O-line and linebacker specifically, you gotta work on a lot moving forward. Ross, anything you wanted to bring up? A discussion we have not hit on as of yet.
No, I mean, I think we're kind of, hitting it there pretty good. I know one of the big topics still is depth chart at Miami and snap counts, I was somewhat pleased to see the snap counts after the UNC game, regardless of how they lined up the starters. But I'm still frustrated to see that they're not willing to hand things to a guy, like give a guy like Chance Williams the credit and props that he deserves. Let him get that bump up there. Let him be the guy and put that support behind him as a starter. Give him that confidence. That's the kind of stuff I want to see going forward, dude. The depth chart, ultimately we're going to have issues because we are lacking talent in some major areas. But there's still things we could do to make this defense a little bit better, and I hope to see that we do it.
Yeah, no, 100% agree. All right. Anything we have not talked about, guys, you want to speak up about? 35 minutes in, we have 100 people joining us live. Greatly appreciate it.
I want to hit on and I don't know if you want to talk about it, Paul, but the whole Mario is Manny 2.0. Did you see that crap on Twitter today?
I quoted the tweet as well. So Chavez,
What?
if you're active on Twitter, someone did put that people are comparing, saying Mario will be Manny Diaz 2.0. It'll be kind of the same thing. I said, has Manny Diaz ever won the Rose Bowl? Because that's a big accomplishment to win the Rose Bowl. He's won the Pac-12, I believe, 3 times. Could be wrong on that. But he's had a lot of success.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that? Do you think it's night and day with Mario and Manny? That's how I see it.
Yeah, I don't see that comparison at all. I mean, he went to Oregon. He's having success.
Yeah.
They're in the playoff picture every year. They're at least in the discussion. They're ranked every year. So I don't see the comparison at all. No. Since Manny's been there, nobody's been talking about Miami.
Right.
I mean, we had a good run, and they were like, "Oh, Miami might be back," but it's all been downhill. And then, I was talking to my dad, and like his thing is supposed to be defense. The defense is not even that good, so I don't see how you draw the comparison. Or Cristobal went to Oregon, they're winning. Manny came to Miami, we're not winning. So I don't see I don't see how you draw that comparison. And another thing you have to remember is that when Cristobal went to Oregon, he was like, "Yo, I want to bring some toughness over here. I want to bring some big boys," because out there they just used to throw the ball around.
Yeah.
Right.
Now they got some big boys and they tough and they running the rock. So he went out there and he did what he said he was going to do. So I don't see how you draw the comparison.
Ross, do you see anything at all, or you're just completely disagreeing?
I disagree wholeheartedly, honestly. And my response to that would be a question, basically, and it would be, can Manny Diaz go to Ohio State and win at their stadium? And the answer is absolutely no.
Hell, can he
But
keep
yet,
it within 20 points?
seriously.
win.
I mean, we would get absolutely stomped. So that right there on the road in such a hostile environment, that's no joke to win that game. That is a game that, like Kev just said, Manny Diaz would get the Hurricanes flat out embarrassed if we played in that game on the road. Cristobal had his team ready, and they got the W.
Yeah. No, I'm all for Cristobal, man. I think he'll be night and day improvement. Recruiting, like, I don't know if you guys follow recruiting. We're 59th in the nation right now. Traquan Fegans, Ross, you can touch up on that. He committed to Alabama. What did his family tell you? Or, what's kind of the vibe about him committing?
We talked about this previously. His dad, this one hurt him. He really, really, truly liked T Rob and DVD, and so did his mom. It was kind of a family thing. This was a scenario where they were sitting back going, hey, if Traquan goes there, if Jaquise goes there, if Anquan, the youngest son, goes there, you're talking about a 2022, a 2023, and a 2025 Fegans all playing for Miami. That's a commitment for a family. That is a full head-on commitment for a family. They were ready to make that commitment to the University of Miami, but ultimately, Trey has to be comfortable with his choice. And I will say it outright. I think Trey made the right decision. He's ending up playing for the University of Alabama instead of playing for Miami. That was a smart choice. They're going to prepare him and get him ready for an NFL future probably. And I will say that I've seen some comments stating that fans believe that Traquan was only committed to Miami because he was waiting for Bama to say that his offer was committable. I will tell you right now, speaking to his father, that's not the case at all. That was not the case whatsoever. That offer from Bama had always been committable. So it wasn't just something he was waiting for.
Hey, that's some good info right there, man. I'm just saying. Ross, doing great work, man. So greatly appreciate all that you do with recruiting and coming on the scoop, man. We don't have, Ross, correct me if I'm wrong, we don't have any players from Miami-Dade County, or South Florida committed in the class, right?
Not right now.
That's awful. That is
terrible. It's a joke.
I mean, Chavez, what do you think about that? You went to Booker T. Washington, the local kid from Miami. I mean, what do you think about that? We're not even locking up kids from Miami in this class.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you can't lock up the kids who are next door, I mean, just think about it. It's like having your neighbors come into your house and eat all your food. I mean, it's supposed to be yours. Right. It's supposed to be yours. You're supposed to be picking these kids up. They're supposed to be coming right into you. It's supposed to be a feeder pattern. When I was coming up, everybody wanted to go to the U. You either wanted to go to the U or Florida State because it was home. You're going to be home. You're going to be with your family. You're going to represent the crib. Your family going to be able to come see you play. You were going to win. You were going to play good football. You're going to have a chance to go to the NFL. But now everybody's shipping out. It's like we trying to get people from everywhere else. And, when you think about the places who play the best football is South Florida, Texas, and California. Those are the only places you think of. But you're based in South Florida. You have to own South Florida. And when you don't, you get the outcome that we get now, 59th in the nation. That's crazy. I know Nick Saban's coming down here. I can guarantee you that. Nick Saban and his whole I knew the kid Dallas Turner. He's playing from Alabama right now with American Heritage. Pat Surtain, Jordan Battle. They from South Florida. They all from here. So Nick Saban knows where to go. Think about all the top teams and look at their roster. See where their kids are from. It's simple as that.
And I think it's we're in a laughable state right now for so many different reasons, because now you're starting to see all these, and it's like Al Golden. It's like Groundhog Day. It's Al Golden 2.0 when you knew Al Golden was about to like get the boot. Now we're giving offers to kids that don't even have offers from Power 5 schools. We're reaching for all these random kids. And I'm like, like, just stop. You're making it worse. Because now you're going to leave us with a bunch of these kids that shouldn't even be on the roster. And, I just want them to stop. Just stop recruiting. Just stop. We'll fill the 2022 class with transfer portal kids. Just stop, like, even talking to kids. Just be done. Because these guys aren't going to be here. Like, it's just be done with it, and it's just laughable at this point. Every day I'm like, I see a story. It's like, kid gets first Power 5 offer from Miami. It's like 2 months to early signing day, man. Like, what is going on? And it's just like now they're just throwing darts at anything to try to just fill a class. And it's like kind of one of those things where I don't want to fill a class with a bunch of Jags. So they call him just another guy, and then two years from now goes and the kid transfers, and it was just a waste of a spot for 2 years that could have been filled by someone else. It's just like it's Groundhog's Day all over again, and it's so sad.
One thing I want to add to this, and it's a 2022 thing specifically. This happens to be a year where there is not a ton of local talent, honestly. Normally we got a lot more to pick from in our backyard. So I wanted to make that point, at least, I believe that's why we haven't seen as much of a commitment made towards these local kids, is because our staff truly decided they were going to go out of the state for this class. But I'll tell you what, you can't just ignore the local talent. You got to keep those relationships going positive, because 2023 is absolutely elite in South Florida. Absolutely elite. We got to keep some kind of relationships going, man.
Yeah, that's important. That's important because, like, when I went to Miami, every kid who goes to college, if they're home, they're going to go back to their high school. So I went to Booker T. I went to Miami. When I got a break, I went back to Booker T to watch the games, and I talked to all those kids about how it is going to Miami. So a couple years later, Brandon Harris came over from Miami. Deron Collier came over. Devon Johnson. So it like he said, if you don't have these relationships, like, you basically become an ambassador for the University of Miami when you go back to your school. So if you don't have these relationships, if you don't have somebody to go back that can give them firsthand knowledge of what it's really like, somebody they trust, somebody they played with, because look, every high school kid knows when the coach comes in to recruit you, he's going to tell you all the great things and how it's all sunny, and we got all the flowers and all the food and all the money. But when somebody comes in that you just played with last year with high school football, and you trust that guy, blood, sweat, and tears with that guy, and I go back to Booker T and I tell him, hey, look, man, this is how it is. The coaches are great. The culture is great. That says a lot more. So you have to keep those kind of relationships, like he said. That's invaluable.
Yeah, no, I'm 110% on board with that statement. It makes a ton of sense. All these kids from St. Thomas Aquinas that go to other programs, people say it's a pipeline for Ohio State, Alabama. Like, because the ones that go to Miami, they're not the ones that play and do well. The ones that go to American Heritage to other programs, they play and do well at other programs. The ones that go to Miami, they don't play. They don't do well. So, Luther Campbell's at Miami Jackson. He has to say about the staff.
Right.
He's got a ton of talent at Miami Jackson. He may tell him to look elsewhere. I mean, I'm not saying that he is, but there's influence there. So, no, I agree with that, man. And, it's unfortunate where things are at. Hopefully things can change. 45-minute mark. Before we wrap up the show, anybody else want to talk about anything before we wrap it up?
I guess there's just one thing that I wanted to add to this is that, and I think it's so unfortunate. We're talking about talent.
Miami Edison. My apologies, guys. I hate being wrong. He's at Miami, not Miami Jackson. Sorry about that.
Okay.
My fault. I hate being wrong.
Oh man, now I totally drew a blank now, dude. Because my mind went right back to it, dude. What was that?
Bothered me so much. I said, wait, Miami Jackson. Those are the Generals. No, I'm off. Sorry, my fault.
I'm not even too worried about it, dude. Not worried, man. I mean, I think I think we pretty much nailed a whole lot of what we needed to talk about today, dude. What I was going to say was kind of just going to add on to, I think, some of the misery that we've already experienced. So maybe it's better if I don't. But, man, I just, I'm greatly appreciative to King, Kev, and Chavez for showing up tonight, man. You guys did, it was fantastic having you guys on. We always appreciate it, man. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, man. I appreciate the invite, like always, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to say one thing real quick. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Twitter and stuff about, people. Me and Paul, we talked about it before the show, about like you shouldn't go to the games, you shouldn't support the team because of Blake and Manny. You got to remember, guys, the players signed up to play for that U on their chest, and they're here to play as hard as they can, and they have been playing as hard as they can. It's not like we've been watching guys flaking out there, not playing hard. So if you have some time, Saturday night, go get a ticket. It's probably about $5 on StubHub or something. Go watch some football, cheer on the Canes. What's going to happen is going to happen. Just let it play out. But don't put it on the kids, man. They're there fighting as hard as they can. They're going out trying to win. I just wanted to say that because I saw a lot of negative stuff on Twitter, and it's sad to see because the kids see that stuff, and let's go out and support them.
Yeah,
It's totally possible for us as fans to make that designation. Basically, we don't have to support the staff. We don't have to support what they're doing. But as Canes fans, we got to ride for our guys out there on the field. That's how I see it. We can make that designation. We can
100%.
support the Canes, but not support the ideals and philosophies our Canes staff has. I believe that 100%, and I'm glad you brought that up, Kev.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I just want to piggyback off of that. Like, as a former player, we can tell the difference of where the support is. You know what I mean? So like, we like, even though we're walking out the tunnel and it's hard to hear, but you can hear little things. You can hear little things said, and you can hear the support when it's for the players and when it's against the coaches. So, and it also speaks to recruitment as well. So, like he said, man, just keep supporting. If you're going to tweet something about the Canes and what you don't like, make sure it's specific about the coaching, because next year, 90% of those kids are still going to be there, whether Manny Diaz is going or not. We're going to have to support those same kids. They're going to have to play. They're young kids, man. They just want to play ball. They might not have the best leader. They might not have the best coaching. But as we can see the past 2 games, they're laying it out there, man. And, sometimes you can't outplay bad coaching. So I think it's a great point, man. Just keep supporting, keep letting the kids know that you support them. If you tweet, and you can tweet to them, or you post them on Instagram and you can at them, let them know, man, hey, man, look, we support you. We're here for you. We understand that, the coaching or, the culture that's been created is not what we want, but the fans will be here for you, bro. Because like I said, when they show up to events, all that comes into play, so they got to know that we support them wherever they show up, or, wherever they step out. If they, you don't want these kids to think that I'm going to step off campus and the city's going to hate me. It shouldn't be like that, man. These are young kids. Like he said, they signed up to play for the U. It's probably a lifelong dream. And I don't think it's our place to crush that for them.
And we don't want them to transfer. So let's keep them happy.
It comes down to recruiting. These kids, they're going to be back next year.
We got some legit young talent on this team, guys. Yeah. We don't want to lose this young talent that we know can turn into possible and future starters for the University of Miami. No doubt about
it. James Williams, he's going to be a player.
Yep. Special player.
Watch him. That's going to be a guy.
Just looks different.
Guys his size don't move that fluidly normally. Yeah. It just doesn't happen. You don't see it all the time. So let's keep James Williams happy, guys. Let's keep James Williams at the University of Miami for sure.
You got to watch him. That's the guy right there. I'm telling you.
Kevin Chavez, thank you so much for coming on. And I promise we'll get you back on the scoop on a lot better terms with a bright future ahead of us. I guarantee you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you again, guys. Take care.
Okay.
Go Canes.